We've talked before, maybe not ad nauseum, but pretty in depth before about how we felt that this movie wasn't living up to fans' excitement of previous installments, and that's because of years and years and years of mediocre to flat out bad stories from this company. The Mandalorian has somehow salvaged some of the excitement because it's been phenomenal, but for the most part, this new movie doesn't really seem to have the chops. And oh, by the by, while I won't be saying any spoilers, I did see it. And I'll basically just surmise with a lot of the what's the words I'm looking for? The leaks. A lot of the leaks were spot on. Disappointing. And it's not one of those situations where I feel like I've deprived myself of this film because I saw this, the leaks. The leaks themselves were disappointing because they were just oh so bad and oh so dumb. And then the movie came out and I was like, oh, well, this is why I didn't pay for it. Marcus, I don't know if you've seen any of the leaks, have you?
No, I haven't. I've seen a few things here and there, but as far as the major leagues, no. But I mean, it feels like this thing has been trending for the better part of what 2 or 3 days.
Essentially, yeah. Ever since the embargo was lifted on the reviews, this movie has had a lot of individuals talking. It currently sits right now at the lowest a Star Wars film has ever been on Rotten Tomatoes among critics, which I find hilarious.
Yeah, I mean yeah, this thing is certainly polarizing for a lot of people. I mean, I think this is kind of showing me, I guess, the grand scope of what this fan base used to be, because obviously it's not whole anymore. Um, but yeah, I mean, this is nuts. I mean, this whole feels like this better part of this whole week has been kind of engulfed by this thing. But no, I mean, it's funny. I didn't think you were gonna get out to watch this space funeral, but
I had a free ticket and a let's just say warm welcome.
uh, but
Jokes.
uh, but yeah, I mean, it's just real interesting because for a lot of people, this is like the last piece of their childhood they're hoping to cling on to, and they're leaving it in the hands of these creators. And from just what I've read and some of the non-spoiler reviews, it's like it's kind of what we kind of surmised it would be. I mean, it was a hodgepodge of crap that was trying to be something new, and then the other half of it was damn near like a checklist of stuff to be shown to get people to stop bitching about from the last film. So
The funny thing
yeah,
is a lot of the people bitching about this film are the ones who defended Last Jedi. Right? So IGN, Star Wars, The Rise of Skywalker, Rotten Tomatoes, and Metacritic scores revealed by Terry Schwartz. Let's see. Does she? Here we go. So these are all the movies, and we'll get to episode 9 here in a second. So these are all the movies ranked based off of critic scores. The Phantom Menace, 53%. Now, to clarify, this is not a grade. This is the number of critics who liked it as opposed to didn't. So if you see 53%, that's not an F. That's 53% of critics liked it as opposed to 47% that didn't. So The Phantom Menace, 53%. Attack of the Clones, 65%. Revenge of the Sith, 80%. A New Hope, 93%. The Empire Strikes Back, 94%. Return of the Jedi, a bewildering 82%. Damn you, critics. Should have been higher. The Force Awakens, 93%. I call packs on all of these scores. A Rogue One, a Star Wars story, 83%. That's probably the best of the new franchise films, to be honest. The Last Jedi, 91%. Y'all were bought and paid for. Don't even lie. Solo, a Star Wars movie, 70%. And then finally, The Rise of Skywalker. I was going to do the song, but I can't make my mouth make those noises. 56%. Hot damn. When you bottom out right next to the Phantom Menace, That really gives you an idea on what's going on. Metacritic's not any better because it gives it a 53%. So yeah, the critics do not like The Rise of the Skywalker. Now I saw it because I was, it was a little fun get together for me, but I didn't pay for the ticket. Chet don't pay. That could be taken many different ways. But I will say there's a lot of reasons why I understand people being upset about this film. It feels like, firstly, without going into any spoilers, because, it's literally day one. I'm not that guy. It feels like J.J. Abrams had all of these ideas. And then Rion's like, nah, dog. Chopped it in two. And then JJ's like, my already terrible ideas are now even worse. How do I fix this? That's essentially what it felt like. Like the entire first 20 minutes was just JJ going, gotta fix this shit. Gotta fix this shit. And it didn't work. And there's a lot of shoehorn, hammed up moments, not necessarily in the way of fun or funny. When I say hammed up, I mean more forced. Kind of like, oh, yep, of course they would do that here. So, it is what it is. I still think it's better than Last Jedi. That movie was garbage. But then again, I won't watch any of the new trilogy ever again. Like, they're terrible. And that's not me saying that I'll never watch a Star Wars movie again. Because I actually like Rogue One. I've rewatched it since it came out. And if I ever finally get around to Solo, I might actually like that.
Yeah, we talked about it. I think we both really liked that. Yeah, it was just well done. And we talked about it like Force Awakens was cool, but Last Jedi and this is just. I think a lot of people. What I've also seen is looking at some of these non-spoiler reviews, specifically these YouTube ones. People are really finding this having to get off that horse of. This was all planned. Like people are being forced to see like they never had any earthly goddamn idea what they were planning to do with this thing, did they? And it's interesting. It's kind of sad because you all seeing like the childhood glimmer die in somebody's eyes for something that they've held up in such high esteem. But reality is reality. And what is this? This is 9 movies in now.
9 with the chapters, like episode 1,
Yeah,
episode 9.
Yeah, and it's crazy. Like the only thing that's really sure across the board is for every movie that they continue to make with this, the prequels only look that much better.
Yeah, we should. So like everything you're saying holds a lot of weight. I know for me specifically, I've disliked more Star Wars films in my life than I've liked. I kind of like Phantom Menace, not because of Jar Jar. Jesus Christ, is that racist, Marcus? Is Jar Jar racist to you? Are you offended by Jar Jar?
I mean, he's just always come off as a stupid character to me. I never really put him like, oh, he's acting like this such and such a race, and I'm offended by it. Like, no, he was always stupid. And then I think somebody just kind of try to put a race to it to make it even more offensive so they could justify just how much they were crapping on it. Because for a lot of people, they probably want to really like that movie, but he's so obnoxiously dumb.
He's the worst. I'll be offended for you. I think it's racist. I don't even know why. I just think it's racist. That's blatantly racist. Who's offending? Me. It's offending my race. Race of people who enjoy good movies and good characters. Racist. I guess that makes The Last Jedi pretty racist then, too. Jar Jar was pretty bad. That being said, though, I did like a lot of the first film because it had, a really great performance by Qui-Gon Jinn, not by Qui-Gon Jinn, by Liam Neeson as Qui-Gon Jinn. Ewan McGregor's Obi-Wan Kenobi is fantastic. It's easily the best thing of the new franchise or the prequel franchise, and it is a testament to his acting abilities. And I am all for a movie and or show based around a Ewan McGregor Obi-Wan Kenobi. If you give it to me, I will enjoy it. That being said, Darth Maul, like that's it. Like the two Jedis and the Ninja Vampire. I'm all for those 3. Everything else was terrible. And the best part was, and this was as a kid, Marcus. You got to remember, like this, I was 13, maybe 14 when I saw this film. I was a big Star Wars dork, and I got this big old Star Wars compendium. It's like $50. I got it for Christmas. I was so excited. I was like, yeah, I can't wait for the new movie to come out. And in it, it says something to the effect like, as Queen Amidala, Padme has the ability to go from the Senate to her home nation and not be spotted. Played by the spectacular Natalie Portman. I'm like, wait, what? And then when I saw the movie, like, everyone's like, oh, what a great twist. I'm like, that was revealed a year ago in the book. What are you doing? I was so mad. I was 13 going, wait, I knew she was going to do that. So mad. Oh, they ruined like the big twist. And oh my God, I remember being so upset about that. Like, wait, what? That's so dumb. But, you know, that was fine. I didn't like the next 2 films, though. I thought Revenge of the Clones or Rise of the Clones or Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith were terrible films. I am not a big fan of overly CGI'd sets. I'm not a big fan of overly CGI'd set pieces. I'm not a big fan of terrible dialogue about how coarse sand is, although I do agree. Anakin, homie, I hear ya. Don't need to be in my Star Wars film, though. So, like, the new... I didn't like the prequels. I like Phantom Menace to a degree, but you know, I didn't like the others. So, like, I didn't come into this franchise with a lot of hope, ironically enough. And then Episode 7 came out. I'm like, God, this is just so cheap. Everything was about evoking an emotion that was fleeting and not about instilling one that's long-lasting. Like, when you see the Millennium Falcon, it feels so cheap. You know, and so much of the stuff like involving Phasma, like they booked her so hard in the promos and the lead up. She's gonna be so badass. She got fucking punked out. Like, really? And then Rey had all her powers day one. That's like buying a RPG and being level 99 right off the bat. What's the fucking point? So I didn't like that one either. And then I saw Last Jedi, and I was like, oh God, here we go. And people defended both films, and still to this day defend both films. I don't know why. I look at Cody Rhodes' Twitter account, Marcus, and I just think to myself, that's a dude who can't admit that he backed the wrong horse. And if you watch AEW, you can tell that Cody has terrible creativity anyway. So,
yeah, it's weird. I mean, it feels like some people, because you know, it's kind of like, and I get it with you know this portrayal of this particular hero, but a lot of people are liking it to how people just can't get off Christopher Reeves as what they view Superman as.
mm-hmm.
Like, he's the standard and everything. And it was like with Star Wars, like a lot of people have their head so far up the anus of the first 3 films, and to them, you know, the collective is perfection, that anything after that even invokes the spirit of those films is still holding on to the gold standard to them.
Mm-hmm.
So they can't fully condemn it, because if they condemn it, then it's like I'm crapping on the first 3 films. The first 3 films were perfection, and perfection was what my childhood was, and I refuse to shit on my childhood. Like, it's this whole thing for them. And I've never really, like you, I mean, maybe even more so, because I've only ever really clung on, I guess, to like a certain aspect of the franchise, because I've always liked the conflict between the Sith and the Jedi.
Mm-hmm.
But that's never really been like a huge part, because it's like the totality of it is like this force that's locking its grip on this really everything, including the Jedi and every other, all these innocents and everything. That's what was so good about Rogue One, is they really gave you a grounded perspective of what the rebels go through. Kind of without the Sith and Jedi component to it as much. But yeah, like I said, I've always kind of clung on to the Sith Jedi portion of it, but because the story was always about more than that, I kind of put up with everything else. And then when the potential for them to kind of highlight a new, I guess, chapter in that conflict with the Kylo Ren introduction and whatnot, and they kind of just soiled that, I'm like, you know what? I'm just here to finish something I started.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not really invested, but everybody else is. Like, everybody else is on this, you know, this golden train that they still on. Like I said about the first 3 films, and they're okay to me. They're not this like standard of cinema or whatever. But people, like I said, people attach themselves to what they attach themselves to. Maybe I feel about, that Toonami block, how they feel about the first three films. So
And you're right. Like a lot of people will always kind of rationalize their fandom in a way. You and I grew up on a lot of the same things. That Toonami block being a big one. Like that was back when Toonami was on after school, on the
yep.
weekdays, 5 days a week. Fuck your midnight bullshit. Although I still watch it, so like, don't fuck it or do if that's a good thing. I don't know. But like a lot of those shows, like I still hold in high reverence. Like if I see on Toonami Aftermath that Ronin Warriors or Dragon Ball Z is on, not so much Dragon Ball Z anymore because Abridged killed it for me. Because Abridged is just so much better. But like if I see one of those old shows, I'm tuning in to watch. Like we're gonna have a field day with this. But when it comes to Star Wars, I agree with you. I think there's a lot of people who still see that Star Wars originality and think that it's transcendence. And there's a great analogy that I came up with while you were talking that I think accurately displays how this feels. Do you have like a really great local restaurant that you vibe with?
I mean, maybe it was Ryan's.
Okay.
It was like a buffet chain restaurant. Yeah.
Okay. So for me, it's a place called Angelo's. It's a pizzeria. They do all kinds of stuff. It's a local place. But they're really well known for making great food. Like they're the county's best pizza, Ohio's best pizza. Like they're phenomenal. The Star Wars franchise to me is like a local eatery, a local restaurant that is synonymous with the region. Just because it has a name value or a name brand doesn't mean that everyone who works in the kitchen is going to provide the same quality of food in the same timeliest manner as everyone else has throughout the years. Kitchen staff changes, waitresses change, servers change, like all of them change. The hope is that you can build up the next set of staffers to be as good, if not better, than the ones you previously had. This is what happened with Star Wars. We all got sunk in on this idea of this awesome broadcast of these fantastical space opera films about a family in turmoil. And throughout the years, like decades later, we got new iterations with different people involved. And the results have been spotty because the same people who made that thing so wonderful either had less involvement or no involvement as the thing continued on. It's just a name brand. The cooks have changed, but the menu stays the same, but now the quality is dipped off, and we don't know why. Well, of course we know why. The people making the food don't make the food anymore. And that's what Star Wars is. So it went from being the best in originality when it comes to food to being just a McDonald's. They franchised the film that we all grew up loving. And now we sit and wonder what happened to it. Well, we know what happened to it. It got whored out. And this is what happens when you get whored out. That's not to say that they still can't make some great cinema or some great television products. Because, again, I did like a Star Wars story, a Rogue One. I thought that was phenomenal. Well, not phenomenal. I thought it was good. And now you look at The Mandalorian and you're like, holy hell, they still have stories to tell. So this isn't a bashing on Disney, although Disney is pretty evil, or a dismissal of new Star Wars and new Star Wars fans. I think there's space for all of us. But we can't sit here and try to pretend when terrible things are good and when good things are terrible just for the sake of camaraderie or fandom. Like looking at someone like Cody Rhodes, the idea that you could be negative about something is so offensive to him. He called a fan a piece of shit because that fan used objective fact in proving that Last Jedi was a bad film. And the thing is, you can like something and dislike something. That is empirical. That is not empirical. That is subjective. It is absolutely up to you. I like Home Improvement. Marcus may not. I only say Home Improvement because it's on the television screen right now. But when you look at if a movie did its job, that is not subjective. The film for The Last Jedi was a broken mess that disregarded years of established lore, disregarded its own plot line, came up with inconsequential, nonsensical bullshit that didn't make any goddamn sense. It fundamentally did not tell a story. That's not subjective. That is objective. And to call a fan a piece of shit? Like, come on. Come on. All because he pointed that out? It's not like he said, Cody, your wife's a whore and your dog's a cat. The dog's a cat one would have set me off. I'll tell you what. My dog is not a cat, sir.
I mean, yeah, even though more than that, it's like he's not even dying on that particular like heel line across that with a fan about the company that he just recently started, but about this thing that's, like I said, this isn't anything creatively to do with him. That he's a fan like everybody else, but you choose to die on the hill about this, as opposed to all the criticisms that are clearly on social media about the company that you're heading.
Mm-hmm.
Because like both are in shaky spots. Obviously, one more so than the other.
Yep.
That's been Star Wars because they've literally just been barreling through with the BS.
Oh, they'll make $1 trillion off this film, I bet, or quadrillion, something like that.
I mean, look, just the publicity this film has garnered alone over this past week. This is publicity you can't buy.
No.
But yeah, I mean, if they thought it was divided before, holy hell, this weekend is finna be like a stake in the ground. But yeah, that's crazy. It's like, again, he's really a prime example of that. Like he holds those three first films in such high regard that everything else is, just building to that biting off a piece of that greatness, and therefore it's somehow held under that same standard umbrella. And it's not. You can like something and still have a critique of it. Like you said, if it was his wife or Pharaoh or somebody said something about his dad, because that's a sensitive issue, that's understandable. But about this, I'm like, you're not even Lucas. Calm down.
Mm-hmm. He's of this mindset that if you're a fan of something, you should always be a fan of something, no matter what. And that's wrong. You are allowed to not like something. And that's something that a lot of Star Wars fans need to really, come around on. This is a franchise built off of a dude's ideas that, truthfully, when he created them, weren't even that fleshed out. So to sit here and hold it in such reverence all these years later across all these different creators, across all these different companies, I don't know what you're doing, kid. As far as Star Wars goes, what we're seeing now is what I like to call the rubber band effect. What happens is you have fans get so excited over something because it's either new or it evokes emotions of their youth. Force Awakens. Everyone's like, it's amazing, it's fantastic, nothing was wrong with it, it was perfect, all the feels. But if you watch the film without actually viewing it through the scope of your childhood, it's a bad film. It fundamentally just does not make any sense. But we accept it, so we pull the rubber band one way. Then we get The Last Jedi, and then everyone has to overcorrect it and be very analytical about it, but people are still going to be dogged about their opinion. So it's going to be something that, fans will still overreact to, but now in a completely different way, and now it's, pulling again. Then you get this film, and now everything's bouncing back because we've exhausted all of our emotional standpoints, that all you can do now is, percolate in the moment. The way people felt about, Force Awakens was overreacted. Even though it was all positive, it was all overreactive. The way people felt about Last Jedi, same thing. Now we're sitting here looking at it through clear, concise goggles because we've been bouncing around. Now all we can do, as Eminem once said, is snap back to reality. This is a bad franchise. And it's been a bad franchise for a long time. Now y'all are realizing it, and that's pissing you off. That doesn't mean it can't be good again. You have trillion-dollar minds at Disney. They can milk something out of this. Like, we've seen Rogue Squadron. The only downfall about that is they left no opportunity to do new stories with them because they're all dead. But now we also got The Mandalorian. So clearly the franchise still has life. You just need the right person to resuscitate it back to a point of health. So, Marcus, first and foremost, are you going to see this new film?
Yeah, I am. And like I said, because I'm in that case, and just because of all the scuttle about it, I am more curious, like that scene out of Rocky Four always reference. You gotta be curious. You got me curious, Rock. Like that whole thing. But even more so, like I said, I started. I want to finish it. Um, and I'm kind of glad this is the final thing. Like it's like that line from BVS: "The bat is dead, bury it." Let's get this out of the way. Um, I gotta put this final thing behind us. But yeah, I'm gonna check it out. But yeah, it seems like everything that I've read and then everything that's been alluded to in these spoiler videos is true. And it's kind of what like I said, it was gonna be amalgam because I'm like they went so far left. Johnson went so far left in the Last Jedi that like I'm like you can't course correct all that stuff. You can't do it. And if you try, it's gonna come off convoluted as hell, and it feels like it was gonna be an amalgamation of like you said, trying to backtrack and trying to do a lot of fan service. It feels like, and I don't know what that's gonna amount to by the time you get to the end of it. Because like I said, it's getting to the point now where they set up stuff in these new trilogies that they went back on. Like it's not even the old history, although they clearly using a lot of that old history to garner whatever momentum they can squeeze left out of this dead horse. But man, that's gotta suck. It's got to suck. But even I think even more so than that, for me with this whole crisis thing that's going on in CW, like because a lot of times it's really easy to, and I think we talked about this on last Comic Course, like it's real easy to give so much of this stuff passes
Mm-hmm.
because of the fan service moments. And I think I'm in this space now where I'm evolving past fan service being enough because I've seen great writing like Watchmen and The Boys and stuff with the Mandalorian and just other stuff that even if I'm like Google Gaga over the actor, so I appreciate the actor being with the show for 8 years or whatnot. Shitty writing is just not. It's not. It can't stand up anymore. Like shitty writing is just shitty writing. I don't care if you got Kevin Conroy. I don't care if you got a freaking stunt ghost to Christopher Reeve. If it's crap, it's just crap. And you got to stand up and say something about it. So I think I'm evolving past that point now, and it's a weird space to be in, but it's kind of refreshing at the same time because I'm evolving past that crowd that everybody's like gets comfortable staying in.
Welcome to the VIP Lodge. I've been here alone for a long time. Glad to have some company finally. And this is something that I don't think is necessarily problematic in the sense that fans should expect fan service. But the problem that we've been getting when it comes to fan service is we get the creative minds of these programmings, these films, expressing their political or personal ideologies, and then they throw in the fan service to try to soothe everyone over. Like, oh, we're about to make this political, but hey, the Ewok has a lightsaber. Like, that's pretty cool, right? Like, y'all like that. Like, we about to go hardcore racist on a group of people. But that's Superman's second stunt double from the third film. Love us. There was a time when you were supposed to get fan service with shitty things because we all knew what this film was going to be, so give us the fan service. Case in point, Batman and Robin. Schumacher knew he was making shit, so he threw in the Riddler and Joker stuff, and I think there was even like a Catwoman whip during the Arkham breakout scene. Fan service, because he knew he was making shit. And then he also gave us the Arnold lines because, let's be honest, that was basically the only reason to watch the film was Arnold Schwarzenegger. What killed the dinosaurs? The Ice Age. That's not even a joke. That's literally a historical fact. God damn. But when we get to films like Star Wars Episode 9, we don't want fan service. We want a story we can remember. Characters we care about. Adventures that cause us joy and heartfelt reactions, not, oh my God, they cameoed so-and-so. Look who's they dusted off Billy D. Williams from the Boneyard. Super great, Billy D. You're 80 and apparently gender-free? Okay. Kind of like your character. Sure. So, yeah, we don't need all that. What we need is good, well-executed stories. The boys had, I don't know, no fan service? And if they did, I certainly didn't pick up on any of it. In my mind, I'm still remembering A-Tray going, she stepped right off in front of me. I couldn't stop. And he's all covered in blood, and Huey's still holding her hands. And I'm just like, they were talking about Bruce Springsteen.
Yeah.
What? Because that was a moment. It was a reaction. It was characters that you were starting to get to know. And it felt like this girl was being written so well. She was quippy. She was poppy. She was fun. She was cute, bubbly. She was teasing her boyfriend, which is so romantic. And then...
10 minutes.
Not even minutes, like 90 seconds. And just like that, bloop, she exploded like a goddamn blood balloon. That would be a terrible remake to 99 Loof Balloon. 99 Loof blood balloons. Like she just... And it felt like you had just had your heart ripped out because you were like, oh my God, I want to know all about this. Oh my God, she's dead? Part of that is you don't know what the pace of the storytelling is going to be, so you're shocked because it's the first episode. You have no idea what this creator is going to do. But on the other hand, you were also starting to see the beginnings of something really wonderful. Now, I'll just say this. Marcus, did you ever watch the show Alias?
Mm-hmm.
Well, that was a J.J. Abrams show. You know how in every one of those episodes it was got to find the thing?
Yeah.
Track down the MacGuffins?
Oh, yes.
That's all Star Wars Episode 9 is. Track down the MacGuffins. There's MacGuffins all over the place. Wayfinders. I think that's like a... Is that Wayfair? Is that the mattress company, Wayfair? Sponsor us. I want a new mattress.
Oh, yeah. But, yeah, both of us could use... Yeah.
2 new mattresses, please.
Exactly. Go here to go there to get this thing... that's about that thing that's being held by this person. Then once you finally get it, oh, it's not as important as we thought it was. No, but it sure burnt up a lot of that runtime, didn't it?
Literally what Episode 9 is. Let's talk about something good, though. Baby Yoda. He's taken over the internet. Now, I did not see this past Friday's episode. I'm going to catch up doubly tomorrow. Because I've been catching up, not catching up, but I've been on a steady workload, so I haven't had time to watch the Yoda. There was a fight last weekend. There's 2 fights this weekend. One at 5 in the morning. I don't even know what time the Hawaii card is on for Bellator, so that's going to be fun. My job is very difficult. Plus, I'm putting in for more work at this website, so I don't know. I haven't had time to keep up with Episode 7. But I fucking love The Mandalorian. My only gripe is I would like more reoccurring characters because it seems like the only 2 characters that are sticking around from episode to episode are, in fact, Mando, which is not the real name of the character, and Baby Yoda, which, yes, I know Star Wars girl. It's not the species. We don't know what the species is. There's only ever been one, and his name was Yoda. Give me the species name, and I'll call it a baby whatever. All I know is this baby is 50 years old and ate a frog whole, and it was the cutest goddamn thing I've seen all year. And I saw a dog video of the fluffiest of huskies, or Malamutes, whatever they were, just kind of popping up and down on an icy road. I've seen some cute this year, man. Baby Yoda's up there. Marcus, why do you think Mandalorian is hitting all the right marks with you instead of the saga films, episodes 1 through 9?
I mean, it's just touching a key, it's tapping into another element of the universe that's not bogged down, honestly, by so much historical context that kind of needs explaining a lot. Look, he's a bounty hunter. He gets paid to, go take care of jobs, and, it's carried by a really good actor who has done more with less in terms of dialogue than most people do on shows when they have damn near 10 minutes of dialogue, most of which probably come out the exposition. But shout out to Pedro Pascal. I don't know how often he's actually in that suit, but shout out to him and whoever is maybe doubling or whatever. But yeah, I mean, just the whole concept of untapped, like I said, well, in this universe that we've only got really Django Fett. So, they kind of fleshed that out more, getting inside this new lore, which, like I said, is not so deep that needs deciphering and this, that, and the third. It's very simple. It's a good premise, simple premise. It looks and feels like a movie at times. It's got great direction, and like I said, a really fleshed out, good cast of characters. And then you bring in something of a sleeper hit like Baby Yoda,
Mm-hmm.
and you really have almost lightning in a bottle with this show. And it's come at such a great time and flip things on its head because I think, even though a lot of fan pages won't admit it, they have Star Wars exhaustion, as much as they, want to tout about it. And I think even though this is elements of that world, it's just, like I said, just such an untapped well in that universe that it almost feels like something completely different. And then, like you said, Baby Yoda literally just took over the internet. Like he should be probably repulsive, but he's probably one of the most endearing things that we've seen on TV since um shoot, what was her name? I was finna say the Star Girl from from The Boys, but pretty sure we've come across something as adorable. I just can't think of it right now.
I don't think she's adorable. I think she's wife material, and that involves a lot of really gross thoughts. I would say Baby Yoda has evoked a stronger emotion out of me than, or not stronger, but almost as strong of an emotion out of me as Stitch did back in 2002 when they unveiled Lilo and Stitch. Just, I always want a little blue, cuddly space alien that has the ability to take a chainsaw to a house. That sounds fun. Like destructive capabilities in a pet. Hell yeah, I'm all for that. Why not? For me, the Mandalorian is great because it's exploring a universe detached from the need of telling continuous stories. It's one thing to do a movie about Luke Skywalker, or even a series of films about Luke Skywalker, but don't make new movies about new characters piggybacking off of his story, because all that can do is ruin the legacy, which is what it did. And Mark Hamill was very adamant about that. This isn't my Luke Skywalker was a very popular and topical statement that he made during the press for The Last Jedi. You had the return of the legend himself, and you botched it. You punted it into the ocean. But with Mandalorian, there is no expectations. We can take this ride together. We're all on the same carts of the roller coaster. We're not taking it at different parts of the day or different parts of the year. We're all on it at the same time. And I think that's why it's enjoyable, is because there is none of that heaviness, that expectations. Because once you have the expectations, you have to find someone who understands the fan base. That's part of the issue with what we've been getting with the saga films, is that Kathleen Kennedy does not care about the fan base. She wants to grow the fan base, and she's doing it through targeted consumerism. The idea before, when we were kids, Marcus, was make a great thing that's popular and people will tune in. Now with so many personal ideologies and politics and gender politics and racial politics and everything in between, everyone wants their piece of the pie, so you're trying to come up with this blueberry, raspberry, apple, snickerdoodle. I don't even know if a snickerdoodle pie would be possible. I'm just saying. You're trying to come up with a pie with 8 pieces that are all inherently different, but put it into one pie. You know what happens with that? Cross-contamination, and it tastes terrible. So now you have this film that's trying to do 1,000 different things for 1,000 different people. And instead of just making a thing that's popular and good, you try to make a thing that would specifically approach a group of individuals. And now you're wondering, why is this fan base so divided? Because you targeted specific fan bases. You can't wear a t-shirt that says the Force is female and expect fans to be like, why would you wear that? The Force doesn't have a gender. It'd be one thing to say Princess Leia is a princess, or Princess Leia is a Disney princess. All right, well, I think we can all get behind that. Technically, that's true. But now you're trying to target and say, hey, women are better than men. We created the Force. Really? Like, what's the point of that? Wait, how is that helpful when you're trying to promote a product? Hey, guys, drink Pepsi. It's fantastic. Unless you're black. Don't drink it then. Like, what? Who would do that? Who would come up with that? Hey, drink Coke. But none of you white dudes. Don't drink Coke if you're white. Don't do it. Don't do it. Like, that doesn't make any sense. Marcus, have you ever seen a commodity? Now, I don't mean like a specific commodity, like, say, black entertainment television. We know who BET is made for, just like we know who CMT is made for. They ain't cross-promoting those shows, even though I think they're both owned by Viacom. But we know who they're made for. But have you ever seen something that's supposed to be a broad-spectrum entity be marketed specifically for one group of people only, or all the vastly different ones at the same time? Have you ever seen that with anything else?
No.
I can't say that. Well, Batwoman. But Batwoman's failing for reasons. Oh, it's failing for all the reasons. God, Batwoman. What a terrible show. Marcus, have you been enjoying Batwoman?
I hate watching it.
Do you hate watching it, or are you hate watching it?
Yeah, I'm hate watching it because it's like there's a small glimmer of like, okay, it got some potential. It's like, nope, just keep wasting it. There's glimmers of competency, but then it's surrounded by just, like you said, it's that political thing, and or just downright alleged smart writing that's really clear ineptitude. So yeah, it's hate watching it. This show sucks.
You're sticking around for Luke Fox, aren't you?
It's hard to even hold out for him. I feel like the best version of him that we've gotten was the one with the shirtless.
The Crisis Fox. So I think that's why The Mandalorian works. Is it's not trying to market itself to anyone. It's not trying to have political ideologies or socio-political statements. It's a story about a bounty hunter that's watched too much of the Dodo, which is a digital service online that shows like dog videos and puppy videos and like cutesy shit. Like that dude's been watching so much Dodo, when he sees this little green thing, he's like, god damn it, it's cute. Like it has no ethical ramifications. It's not trying to save a species. He just thinks puppy, and boom, he's got to save the puppy. It's fucking simple. We can all identify. We're all on board. And it doesn't promote its hero as this doesn't struggle kind of creation. He struggles, but he succeeds because of his desire and his intelligence, and it's fantastic to watch. Now, again, I haven't seen last week's episode or obviously tomorrow's episode yet, but I have no doubt that they're going to be fantastic. Marcus, without going into too much detail last week, what did you think of last week's episode?
Yeah, last week, I thought it was interesting. I mean, we really got a taste of his past, um, with the the old guard, if you will. By the way, that you watched last week's episode, right?
No, I have not yet.
Oh, so are you two behind?
No, I have not seen last week's. The last one I saw was when they were in Tatooine.
Oh yeah, Tatooine. Yeah, I think you're two behind.
Oh, am I? Oh, uh-oh.
Yeah, because Tatooine was when the freaking the repair woman, right?
Yeah, and the other bounty hunter who decides to go all conniving. That didn't work.
Oh yeah. Yeah, you're two behind. So thanks for letting me know. So I definitely didn't spoil anything for you, because the last thing, um, they aired the new episode like a couple days early.
Oh, did
So
they?
yeah, and I thought you knew. I was gonna send it to you, but for some reason I thought you knew. But I'll make a mental note to just send you stuff anyway. As soon as it comes.
Always send me
Yeah,
stuff.
gotcha. Got to start on my first mind. But anyway, Tatooine. Um, that episode may have been the weakest for me, just because I don't know, that other bounty hunter, like he just kind of like he felt like a means to an end, and I felt like as much as I love Ming to win, um, she was like a tease to something that I don't know if they know fully what they were gonna do with her.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently they're filming season 2, so maybe we'll get more of her in that half. But it felt like, because I was reading some stuff up until the episode, I'm like, okay, all right, she's gonna make an impact, and I'm like, not as much of an impact as I thought she was gonna make here. Um, but I think the most fun part of the episode for me was the repair lady and again Baby Yoda and just that whole interaction because he just does not know how to stay seated.
He's such a little bugger. It's great. For me with the series, one of the things I've really enjoyed is the kind of explanation and exploration of some of the villains. Like Ming Na Wen's character is a sniper. That's what she does. She can stay still for days at a time. That's what makes her so
Yeah.
lethal. She's always going to have the advantage. But one of the things I will say, I don't want to sit here and make this show seem like it's impervious to criticism because, you know, a lot of the characters that we've been meeting, I wish we got more of. Nick Nolte's little alien dude. I have spoken. It was great.
Love him.
Even the IG robot that showed up in the first episode, that was part of the guild. He was great. You know, Gina Carano. I mean, granted, you know, she's not the, you know, she's not fucking Meryl Streep out here, but she can hold her own
Yeah.
on scenes. But she's also gorgeous. And she's
Great.
one of the best mixed martial artists of her day among the women. Why can't we get more of her? So this whole thing where we're getting kind of great secondary characters for an episode, like, it bothers me. I'd like to see some continuation. That's just
Yeah.
my thought. Although we
Yeah,
did have
and
Carl Weathers for like 2 episodes, so that's something.
yeah, and just be on the lookout for when you said that for when you finally get caught up because there is continuation building up to something really like emotionally jarring. Um,
Oh
to
no.
get ready for the finale. Like I said, I don't want to spoil anything for you because these next 2 episodes that you're gonna catch up on are definitely interesting. But yeah, just that just that whole thing. Because now it's getting to a point where it's like, man, look, Mando, you can't really leave the little dude. You can put him somewhere because he's smarter than he looks, and even for a child, he's far more in tune. Like the cutest thing he's done happens in this recent episode for me. Even though the implications of it was like, oh, okay, this could have went somewhere else, but it was adorable because it was such a baby thing to do. Uh,
I'm looking forward to it. I might have to watch
but
these now after we get off the air.
because you know he's more than a baby, it's like it was on another level. So but yeah, I mean, and I think the benefit that it has in terms of some of these characters that feel one off is because naturally, as a bounty hunter, he really only run into a lot of these guys once,
Mm-hmm.
not getting attached. You know, he can't. We saw in the episode before that he can't really settle down, not only just because of his lifestyle and as a Mandalorian, um, but now because he's taken on a responsibility of carrying this kid. Both of them are constantly in danger. He can't ever not have his head on the swivel. In fact, had it not been for Gina Carano's character, we probably would have lost Baby Yoda in that Homestead episode.
Mm-hmm.
So, that presents a whole different thing, which is, like I said, and that whole thing is going to come to a head when you finally get caught up. That idea of not being able to settle down nowhere. But yeah, the show's just refreshing, man. I mean, shout out to John Favreau. From Iron Man to Lion King to this, the guy's really elevating his game, which is really cool to see in a industry that's really easy to fall into a pattern and get comfortable. A pattern that really can often be seen as something copying off somebody else with like a new flare lens on it or something, or new lens flare, and then
Mm-hmm.
calling it innovative. Like he's really stepping outside the boundaries and really, you know, comes off as a real fan and not somebody that's like you said pushing an agenda and calling it being a fan. You know.
His best role still to this date is as Danny Bateman, I believe his last name, in The Replacements. Hey, Danny. Yeah. Remember what I said about red shirts in practice? Yeah. Forget about it. Hey, Martell. And Danny fucking spears the shit out of him. Love that movie. So, the episode that came out early was supposed to come out tomorrow, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Is the episode that already came out, the newest one, is that the season finale?
No.
So there's
It's
there's one more left.
yeah, 'cause it's actually a two-parter. So,
Okay.
you know, the one that dropped earlier is the first part. Yeah.
Okay. When does the next part come out? Do you know?
I want to say they're gonna drop it on Wednesday again.
Hmm.
But let me check.
That'll be something to tune in for. I didn't know it came out on Wednesday.
Let's
Okay.
see, chapter 27. Yeah.
Okay. So that is next
Are
Friday.
they gonna actually? It's the Friday. Okay. Yeah. So they only dropped that one early. The episode 7 early. So yeah.
Maybe they expected to have. Maybe they wanted to do them back to back, or maybe they wanted to capitalize off of the movie. Release one before the
Yeah.
movie came out. I don't know.
But the way things going, this might end up getting a unintentional boost because of the division. Because this weekend, these spoiler reviews are going to go bananas. It feels like.
B